Okay, this is Moshe coming to you from a cold Israel in the Galilee. Today's Monday. Let me fix this. Hang on. Okay. Today's Monday, the 10th of February. It's 9:43. We're at 53 degrees. We're going to hit a high of 58, low of 48. It was cold last night. So I don't know where the rain is coming from. There was some sporadic showers, and I don't think it rained during the night. And they're talking about low chance of rain in the midday from noon to 3 at 20%. So that's pretty low. And then there's talking tomorrow 40% chance of rain, which is not that much. Then 55% on Wednesday, 35% on Thursday. So their predictions of we're going to get caught up on all the rain is not happening. Okay, so we're still way, 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 way down on the rain for the year. There's not much to talk about there. We're just way the heck down on rain. Okay. My wife got up this morning to see if that thing that was wrong with the car was still wrong with the car, and the warning light didn't come on. So she said, should I go to the store? What should I do? You know, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, what I think you should do is, you know, let the car warm up, see if it happens. Then we'll drive it around the neighborhood and see if it happens. And then you should be okay. So she let it warm up quite a bit. Nothing. So she starts driving to the store. I told her, don't go too far in case something goes wrong. So she went to one of the closer markets, real close actually. So she decided the best thing to do was get into the garage early and see what he finds. So she goes to the garage. And I didn't know she was going to do this, but it was a good idea. She goes in, we know the guy, so the guy says, yeah, all right, come here, let me put it on the computer. He runs it on the computer. He says, there's nothing wrong with the car. No light, nothing on the computer. So, I mean, I could try to think of things that happened in the natural, but the only thing I could think of was you all praying for this. The payment processor issue got resolved rather easily, too. It didn't take much. And then one of them said some reason they tried to mess with me. They didn't give me any warning or tell me you need to do this. It just happened. So I came to the conclusion that somebody is messing with me over there. And I've had this at various social media places too. So rather than name the payment processor, please pray that, because you know I have several, please pray that the person causing me problems at the payment processor get punished quite adequately by the Lord. And that could be fired, relocated, or much worse. It's not for us to tell the Lord what the punishment should be, but just that the Lord should get this person to stop doing it and adequately learn a lesson. Okay? I appreciate that. Now I imagine something will happen too. Okay. So what we're going to do today is the current events are massive. Okay? So we got to do current events because they're huge. I mean, Lebanon and Syria are shooting rockets into each other's villages now, and Israel is helping the new government in Syria fight against Lebanon because Hezbollah's fighting in Lebanon. We'll cover that. And then we'll go through some other things in the news, what Ukraine intelligence picked up about Russia. We'll analyze that. And it's pretty darn interesting. And then we'll cover the 10 virgins. Are the 10 virgins connected to the 144,000 virgins? Is there a tie together? And we'll dissect it and analyze it. Okay? What I'm going to do today is go through, what I'm going to do now actually is figure out why my YouTube is discombobulated. Okay, I think I got it. Go check the live stream, make sure we got sound and picture, and then we'll get going. I'm going to put my posts up. Figure out why my YouTube is discombobulated. Okay, I think I got it. Go check. All right. I'm going to get my posts up real quick. It'll take a very brief period of time. I can't talk too much while I do that, because then I just start getting typos. But I'll be real brief. Get my email up. You can send prayer requests or toast requests or questions to me anytime by email, or you could post in the chat. Email is more private, I guess. Could also do spiritual warfare directed at the person that's harassing me in the payment processor. I would suggest spiritual warfare against that person, their whole house, and everyone that lives within 200 yards of them. Let's lay it on. Okay, that's done. Also suggest spiritual warfare against everyone that comes into the live stream or watches the videos that is knowingly, openly, not with knowledge, serving the unclean spirits. Lay it on them too. Watch my views go down. See how many there are. Interesting experiment. I did it before. There was quite a few. Try it yourselves. Lay it on them. Okay, I'm going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. Well, they're fighting Lebanon. The army of Lebanon, the real army, and Hezbollah are fighting against the new government of Israel, of Syria, their army. So both armies, plus Hezbollah in Lebanon, are fighting each other, and they're shooting across the border. Their artillery is going across the border to each other, and now they're shooting rockets, small missiles, at each other's villages. That's where people live. And it's getting intense. We might see a real war here. I don't know who's going to win. They're both sort of equally matched. We didn't kill that many Hezbollah, maybe a few hundred or maybe a few thousand even, because we had the pager incident. So we might have killed several thousand. Maybe we injured or killed as much as 7,000 or 8,000, but they were minimally at about 50,000 in the ranks before. HTS had about 70,000, then they increased. So where they got, I don't know, but they might be up to 80 or 100,000. But neither have an air force or a navy or any heavy sophisticated warfare tools. Israel destroyed the vast majority of the weapons left behind by Bashar Assad. Bashar Assad, without the weapons, can't go back and reign in Israel. How can he? What is he going to use? Pistols and rifles? But the others don't have much of that either. But it's not going to happen. His air force is gone, everything like that, right? So is anybody going out and saying we want to stop them from this fighting? I don't hear anybody. Is Trump batting an eye about it? No, he's not saying nothing. How many people in the world know that the new government of Syria and their army, their official army, is fighting the official Lebanese army and the Hezbollah? Now, Trump said he was very upset. Worse, he said they better not have Hezbollah, which is a listed terrorist organization, in their Congress, and they've got 5 of them in there. So HTS probably had a great deal of help from America, and maybe other countries in NATO, I don't know, maybe UK as well, getting control of Syria. Maybe Israel helped. And Turkey was involved, and Turkey's rather comfortable with the situation, with this buffer zone between Syria and Turkey up there by his border, to keep the Kurds from getting into Turkey or bothering Turkey or whatever his concerns are. We hear America's going to pull the troops out of Syria, then we hear they're not, and then I hear again they are. I don't know anymore. I haven't heard Trump, I don't think I heard Trump make an official statement about it. So I'm not really knowing what the status is there. I don't think he's going to do anything anytime soon. And I think he's just going to let Lebanon hang out there in the breeze because they did not fulfill the terms of the ceasefire. Okay? Now, this thing I don't think was stirred up by Trump or the UK. It involved the HTS government in Syria persecuting people from the Assad regime, killing them and beating them and all sorts of, making them run around barking like dogs and stuff like that. And Lebanon had a lot of them that fled to Lebanon, and they're worried about their friends and relatives. And there's a problem, and Syria's worried about these Alawites that were part of Assad's regime getting with Hezbollah, and Hezbollah was with Bashar Assad in Syria and being a threat to them. So they went up to the border with the army, and they're having a hot war. A few days now. Now it's said that Israel is helping the new Syrian government against the Hezbollah. I can believe it. I still didn't get any decent explanation why an armored column moved into Syria, I think it was a day and a half or 2 days ago, with air support, and they still haven't left. Now, I was hearing yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, a lot of aircraft sometime, and it happened the day before too. sometimes there's nonstop aircraft for a while, like a couple hours. And they're moving. They're not breaking the sound barrier over Israel, but they're probably going, 700 miles an hour or something. They're hauling, okay? And there's not one at a time, there's several. And no one's attacking us, so they're not there to knock down missiles or rockets or drones or anything, so they're probably not running surveillance because there's other ways that Israel can do that. So they could be trying to support the armored column in Syria. They can't hover a jet like a helicopter, it's got to move. And where I am is not far from Syria, so they could be doing that, or they could be helping. There was a battle area in Lebanon between Syria and Lebanon, and Israel just happened to go into that same area. It was a village or a small city, and attack an ammo depot that Hezbollah had there. Just a coincidence. So something's up. Could Israel get dragged into this? This type of thing doesn't look like that. It looks more like us coming close to redemption, and the enemies are fighting each other. Will anybody come to the aid of Syria? I don't know who. Israel. It's already happened. Would anybody come to the aid of Hezbollah and the Lebanese army? Iran, but Iran doesn't get along that well, nor that bad with the Lebanese government. This we just got to watch. It could blow over, but I think the Hezbollah people want their people in Syria sent to Lebanon for their protection. And right by the border crossing, there was a tunnel that Israel knocked out, and Israel's making sure that tunnel never gets built up again, and it keeps blowing the border up so you can't have crossings into Lebanon. So they're basically keeping the pro-Hezbollah, pro-Bashar Assad people stuck in Lebanon so the HTS government, the new government, could deal with them, and they are horrendously murderous. So this is rather important. Remember, what's going to trigger all these events that we know is in Bible prophecy is going to be something pertaining to Israel, more than likely. Okay? It's Israel that the prophecies mostly focus on. I know the media is not talking about this very much with Lebanon and Syria fighting, but it's real. We're getting all this news here. It's real. Okay. So that's pretty interesting. The ceasefire with Hamas in Gaza and Israel, it's about done. The starved hostages that look like they came out of Auschwitz, Trump publicly said that the hostages look like they came out of Auschwitz or a concentration camp. And he's not happy. He says he's losing his patience or faith or whatever in the ceasefire. In other words, he's setting the stage for Netanyahu to finish the war. Now, he said he's going to visit Egypt and Saudi Arabia physically. And he said they will, or maybe they'll come to him, same difference. And he's saying that after he talks to him, they will accept the hostages. And he's talking about Saudi Arabia having a lot of land and let them build a Palestinian city or a state if they want it so much, which is he's mocking the guy in Syria, saying, well, hey, dude, you think it's such a great idea, they need a state, you build it. So that might have shut the guy up. is now he's not talking about Jordan. He's not saying I'm going to go see Jordan. Well, I think the king of Jordan is coming to see him tomorrow. So he doesn't have to say I'm going to see the king of Jordan. And the king of Jordan is going to see him specifically on this issue of putting the Palestinians in their country. See, it's easy to transport them into Saudi Arabia. The part of Saudi Arabia near Eilat is very close to Gaza. It's not a big effort to get him over there. It's no effort to get him into Egypt, and it's not much of an effort to get him into Jordan, just short bus rides, a few hours. Now Trump says he's going to buy Gaza, B-U-Y, buy, like purchase, like money transaction, and own it. And after Netanyahu finishes the war, he's going to give it to Trump or America. Can America have something they own, like a piece of land across the ocean that they own, that's not a territory? I don't see any provision in their Constitution for that. It has to be a territory, like Guam or something. You can't just be, a possession. He's never saying he's going to make it a state. That would be disaster. If you made it a state, they're citizens, and they'd come to America and try to overthrow the government. He's still high on this evacuation, which I'm telling you, in Bible prophecy, it just ain't going to happen. He may get a few out, but very, very small amount. It ain't going to happen. I think one of Netanyahu's plans for this is to use the Moab bombs, the 22,000-pound bombs, drop several of them around Gaza. I don't think he'd do more than 5 or 6 or something like that. He may get up to 10. It would rattle their teeth in Gaza. Literally, they'd be shaking, okay? And that would motivate them to get the heck out of there, because wherever Netanyahu dropped the bombs, the rest of Gaza is going to feel it. 25 miles, your windows and doors and probably your floors are going to shake everywhere in Gaza when these bombs hit, and they are going to get freaked out. Will that motivate them? It will, but Hamas will shoot them if they try leaving. Plus, Egypt has tanks and armored personnel carriers lined up on the border with Gaza to make sure they don't go. And, this young prince that runs Saudi Arabia, because his father's, I don't think he died yet. I think he's, because they call him the king, I guess. He's still alive, I think. This guy is no match for Trump. Not even close. Just forget about it. His advisors might have their head on their shoulders, but Trump is going to skate circles around this guy when he talks to him. This guy ain't going to know what happened. The other people that could do things like that would be Putin. He's a good liar and a deceiver, like Trump. And he's good at threatening, and stuff like that. He could actually deliver on some of his threats, especially against Saudi Arabia. And Putin is friends with Iran, who's an enemy of Saudi Arabia. But Putin's not getting into this. So, I don't know what this prince of Saudi Arabia is going to do when he starts having Trump bear down on him. I don't think it's going to be a pleasant experience for him. I think he's going to freak out. Of course, I don't know what Trump's going to say, but, we could imagine going on here with this? Wait a minute. There we are. I was in the wrong place. Add screen. That remains to be seen. Okay. Now, that's not all Trump said. You know, I mean, maybe we should start a channel called Trump Watch, End Times Trump Watch. Watch Trump usher in prophecy fulfillment or something. You know, not that he plans on doing it. He's under deception. You know, he's in the snare of the Lord. Jeremiah 50 verse 24. So he's talking about Iran. Now, Iran has said they see no point in having negotiations about their nukes with Trump. That was Khomeini, the big jackass, said that, right? They have no interest in it. They know what Trump's going to say. They don't even want to bother with him. Now, Trump is not the type of world leader that you say, listen, Jack, it's a waste of time talking to you. Just leave me alone. Go away. No, I don't think you deal with Trump that way. That is not diplomacy to get along with Trump. If Iran was a country of 600 to 700 million people with an army of 3 million, and they had 1,800 good advanced fighter jets and 60 or 70 advanced naval vessels and 50 advanced submarines, then you could talk to Trump like that. But no. The problem that I see with Iran is they've got a big mouth and they spew forth lies and deceptions. And then these idiots that run it believe it. Nasrallah was believing it. Where's he? In the ground. Sinwar in Gaza was believing it. Where's he? In the ground. Do I think Khomeini's going to be in the ground soon? You bet. It's prophecy. Jeremiah 50, Elam. Elam is Iran. It's in Iran, so it's Iran. It's in the southwestern part of Iran. It's Iran. So, let me tell you what else Trump said. He said, I would prefer to have a nuclear deal with Iran rather than bomb them. And then he said, if they don't sign a deal regarding their nukes, Israel will attack them. He said this, Israel will attack them. So we are the equivalent of Ukraine with Russia, a proxy of America and NATO. We're not really a proxy of NATO. They don't like us. We're a proxy of America. So we're going to fight the war in Gaza, knock out Hamas, and then he's going to buy it from us and build a multi-trillion-dollar resort. Never going to happen, but that's what this guy thinks in his delusions. Now, he's getting Netanyahu to commit a grievous sin against God. It was bad the first time when Netanyahu and others in the government gave Gaza back to the Palestinians, and the military, the army of Israel, had to go in with guns and drag the settlers out like at gunpoint. They'd been living there for years. America was behind it, I think 2008. Now, to make sure that Israel never gets it back again, because there's a big movement in Israel that says, correctly too in a way, but it's not prophetically correct. The only way to assure that nothing else happens in Gaza is to move back in. We have to put settlers there. And that's an easy thing, and the way that would work is Israel would sell the land rather inexpensively to them. I mean, you'd probably get, I don't know, a half a dunam or something, you know, like a fraction of an acre, maybe like a fourth of an acre, which isn't good by American standards, you know. You could have a front and backyard on that, no problem. Uh, and would probably run with today's prices for something that's going to be about 16, 18, 1900 square feet. Um, I would say they probably do it at 75, maximum 100,000 to land the house. Now, they would also give you very low down payments, like probably $5,000 down, you got a house with a mortgage. And what I believe they would do would be, from my seeing this happen in other areas over many years, they would give you the house with 2 bedrooms and no upstairs. And you'd have 1 master bath, so it would have a shower, bathtub, a toilet, and that's it for the whole house. And there would be typically, there'd be a master and 2 small bedrooms. I'm sorry, that's how they would do it. And there would be a kitchen and a dining area and a living room. In the front, you'd probably have a little picket fence, and you'd walk 20, 25 feet from the sidewalk to the house to get in the door of the house. And you could put flowers out there if you wanted a barbecue out there, so be it. And then in the back, you'd probably have a yard that would probably go 40 feet or 50 feet and be across the width of the house. And you'd be able to put a small swimming pool in, an above ground pool or a jacuzzi, and you'd have a slab of concrete with a roof over it to put your barbecue grill out there and eat and sit there. And it would have a carport in the front or on the side. It wouldn't have a garage. And it would be air conditioned, and there would be the ability to put an upstairs in with an additional bedroom. And I don't know if they put a toilet up there, probably not. So they, instead of, I think you could have it just as a loft if you wanted, where you wouldn't have a bedroom, you just have storage with a ladder you pull down, you can go up there and put your junk up there, you know. Or you can get an extra bedroom up there. And so it's basically a blue collar. If you add, they used to charge $5,000 to build on the extra room. They probably charge $15,000 today. So some family that has probably up to, 3 children would be rather comfortable in there, even 4 children. Because then some of the kids would be small. They'd have their master bedroom. You got a house. Now there also would put apartment buildings up there, probably 15 stories, 20 max. And you would get similar sized apartments, which would have 1 balcony, maybe 2. So you could barbecue on the balcony. And it would be about the same size, maybe a little less. And you'd have most likely no garage, outside parking. Maybe they'd put a roof over it, maybe not. And people would move in, and you would have practically an automatic gun license. You'd have to go to the shrink, I think. You'd have to get your criminal record checked, and about it. Or you'd have to have your citizenship papers and all that. And then you'd be able to go buy a gun. So you'd be able to run that. They would make it like they do in the territories. It's rather easy to get a gun, extremely easy. It's almost, you also have to take a class. I think it's 1 day or something. It's similar to America, except they don't send you to a shrink. But some of the places want you to take a class. So that would be it. That would be all you have to do. And you'd be able to buy a gun. with a sane leader, not Netanyahu, who doesn't want the people to have guns because he knows all the dirty deeds he does could get uncovered one day and he could get overthrown. Why do you think he doesn't want guns? Think about it. That's why. And the another one would set up an arsenal, and they'd let the people have guns from the military arsenal, the older guns, but they wouldn't say, here, you own it, you can go sell it. You'd have to keep the gun and it would belong to the military. And if you wanted to get rid of the gun, you just go give it back and they give you a receipt and the story. You can't sell it, you can't give it to somebody else. So, with Israelis, there's a debate. Do you want to schlep a rifle around you when you go out of your house, or would you rather just have a pistol? It depends how dedicated you are. What they also set up is an arsenal for the residents. I'll explain how that works. You have your pistol, you buy your pistol. The government doesn't hand pistols out. You buy your pistol. So you got your 9mm, which is the most popular round in Israel. I don't think it's a good round, but they love it. And they don't usually buy the high-tech ammo. See, the 9mm, if it's a full-jacketed bullet, the standard 115 grain full jacket at 1,100 feet per second, it is not a good round. You're not going to shoot somebody with a good torso hit once and likely put them down. Now, these high-tech bullets tend to make the round better, but it's stupid behavior to buy a gun and a caliber based on using high technology bullets to make it effective. This is not smart. You can buy the 45 caliber ACP, the regular old military gun from years past, use standard military ball ammo, full metal jacket. Okay? You can get a beautiful Heckler and Koch that holds 12 in the clip plus 1. It's big and bulky, but this is Israel. Okay? And the old guru of advanced shooting, Jeff Cooper, who was extremely knowledgeable about guns, ammunition, shooting, tactic. He ran a school and everything else like that. I never went to his school, but I had 8 days of training with his range master in the 80s, and it was eye-opening, to say the least. The guy was superb. So, when you use that, it's a standard 230 grain bullet at about 850 feet per second. And Jeff told us that, well, he told the world, really, that one round hitting the torso is going to give you an 80% chance of putting your enemy down. In other words, they're not dead, but they're not going to continue the fight. If you up it to a double hit, where you hit them 2 times, 2 bullets, they felt that it was near impossible for somebody to keep the fight going. We're not talking about a leg or an arm or a shoulder hit. If you hit them in the head, they're probably out, okay? If you get them in the jaw or something like that, the shock waves would probably take them down, okay? If you get them in the foot or the shin bone, they'll fall down. The other thing some professionals do, this is not for amateurs, they shoot the hip bone. And when you get the hip bone, the person collapses on that side. They just fall down. Now, that is most likely going to end the fight. There's a chance they'll fall down holding their weapon, and then on the ground, they're not unconscious, which is a pretty slight chance, and they're not in pain, and they are focused, not in shock, and they continue fighting. That's pretty unusual. That's not for amateur shooting. That's for like SWAT guys and stuff like that that are trying to accomplish a certain effort, you know. Um, and you don't have to buy special bullets that are all high tech. You just put regular military ammo in that's the least likely to jam. No hollow points, no nothing. And you shoot double taps. That's how they trained me. Boom, boom. And then what they taught us was if you, now I had law enforcement training. On a 10 scale, the law enforcement training was a 3 or a 4 or something like that. This was a 9. I mean, it was probably triple better than anything you get out of the police agencies usually. They do stupid things. They put people in front of a screen and they got simunition. It has a gun that it makes the recoil, and the gun actually shoots a beam of light, and they show you scenarios on a screen, like a 10 by 12 screen in a room, and you got to get the light on the suspect or your target, and you shoot, and the thing gives you recoil, and it registers. You think that's realistic? No. I used to take myself to the range on cold days when it was raining. I used to do this. I was what you call a gun nut. And I used to practice shooting in the cold, windy, rainy weather. I would go night shooting, not a lot, but I've done it. And when I was getting trained by this guy, they took us to the range at night. We did night shooting. I believe I went to the range in law enforcement at night too. My memory's foggy. It's so many years ago, but I think we did that. There's anyway. The Israelis think they know everything about combat and fighting and this stuff like that. They know a whole lot about fighting these enemies in the Middle East, but I think the Americans know way more about guns, ammunition, fighting, and tactics than the Israelis do. I know how they shoot, and a lot of what they do doesn't make any sense to me. They carry semi-automatic weapons without a round in the chamber. That's unprofessional, but they do it. And if you got to carry concealed weapons permit, I don't think you go to jail or anything if you carry it around in the chamber, but they don't like it. But, if you have a heckler and koch, you've got a safety and things like that. Or you could leave the safety off and you got double action on the first shot. If you're using a holster, the chances of an accidental discharge are rare, but very rare. But, they use the 9mm without this high-tech ammunition, So what they would taught us is you put 2 in the torso and you lower your weapon and you look at him. If he's still standing, you go right up to the forehead and fire. You wait 1 or 2 seconds and then you go to the forehead. Cooper's had a name for it, what do you call it, Mozambique technique, because that means the guy's got bulletproof armor. You were hitting his armor, not him. So you go to the forehead. Or you could go to the hip bones. Nearly all the bulletproof vests don't cover the hip bones. Or you can go for the legs, but if you're going to go for the legs, you got to drill them more than once. Go for one leg, then the other leg, and then you're probably going to get your result, What the Israelis used to do, the settlers, if they were confronted by a group of terrorists, this is going back 30, 40 years, confronted by a group of terrorists, and we used to get Uzis back then. Well, I never had an Uzi, but when I worked, and I want to talk about what I did. Anyway, they would spray the Uzi into the concrete right in front of the terrorists, and the bullets would come up in an angle and hit them in the lower legs and knock them down. But you could go, put 12, 15 rounds there and knock a bunch down in one shot. So that would be what Israel would want to do, but prophetically it's unnecessary completely. And Trump wants to make sure we never get the land back, so he wants Netanyahu to sell it to him. Now, how do you think the sale will go? I'll tell you. It's easy. With Ukraine, what did he do with Ukraine? He says, we want your precious minerals like lithium, which they use in batteries, and metals, and you give that to us and we'll give you weapons. So in other words, it's a barter. You give us $1 billion of this stuff, the metals and the minerals, and we'll give you $1 billion of planes or artillery, whatever, right? That's what he'll do to Netanyahu. He'll write him a real nifty aid package, and he might trade him a squadron of planes. I don't know what he'll do, but I'm pretty darn sure it's going to be military equipment. Now he's also saying, so Israel's going to attack and finish the war in Gaza, then sell it to Netanyahu, make sure we never have the land again, right? That's what his thinking is. So he's mocking God. He's showing his friends in the Satan world, that Satan worshiping world, that he's not afraid of Jehovah. Just wait a little while. Now, with Ukraine, he's doing the same. That's what he's going to do. So there'll be no talk about giving it back. Will he let Israelis move in there? I don't know. But he's not going to get anywhere. It's 10 to 15 years rebuilding. It's ridiculous. Let's say he shortens it. How could he shorten it? He goes in and fixes a certain amount of, it takes an area of Gaza on the beach, maybe an area that's 6 or 7 miles long. That's huge for multiple resorts, by the way, okay? And they smack together an airport, and they put some piers up, and he stations some Marines and gets Navy boats and Air Force. This will take 2 or 3 years. It would never happen, but this idea would be to go to the people, give them a sweetheart deal, give them a slice of the land, and they would have to clear the debris out of their own pocket because they got a low price. And then they would be given a certain amount of years with progress reports to build their resorts. It's taking years. If Gaza was completely naked rebuilt, in other words, no structures. So what do I mean? It had sewage, it had water, it had electricity, it had cell phones, right? It had streets, street lights, parking, all of this, right? And an airport, and a pier for cruise ships and stuff, right? And he sold it to these resort builders and hotel builders and condominium builders. It would take, because this is Gaza, not America or London, it would probably take 1.5 years or 2.5 years to build their structure. Because they got to ship in all the supplies, and it drag on and on, Where are they going to get high-grade workers down there, They got to bring the heavy equipment in. It's a nightmare, So you could forget that ever coming to pass. But what Trump is doing is building his list of enemies like crazy. The whole 56 or 53 League of Arab Nations is against this. He's also saying he's going to give some of the land to Arab states. So let's read between the lines. Okay? He'll give a piece of land to Egypt, which is right next door anyway, so they could build themselves a nice little resort. Okay? And he'll give a piece of land which is kind of close to Saudi Arabia, so they could put up a resort. The rich people in Saudi would see this as a good opportunity. They don't believe in prophecy, they'd go take a shot. Jordan is a little too far away, and I don't think they would participate. He might cut a piece out for Israel. I don't think he will, because it's God's land. What Netanyahu would take Trump would take great pleasure in would be, shrinking Israel. But Netanyahu needs a place to reign from. He can't be a leader of Israel if there's no Israel. He's got arrest warrants out, and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be thinking that Trump wants a two-state solution now. He sees that as way too much trouble. So what does Israel have to look forward to right now? Thank you, Donald. We're going to resume the war in Gaza, for sure, I think. And they'll try to fight back, but their efforts will be feeble. And then we're going to be attacking Iran. Now, I don't know what we're going to attack. Trump definitely wants the nuclear plants, 5 of them, hit. The Moab bombs will do it. Now, if we hit those 5 facilities, the chances of some sort of uprisings from Iran are near perfect, right? Iran is going to go nuts, right? They're going to want to teach the world the lesson. You can't knock our nukes down, because they'll try to rebuild, right? So Israel needs to also knock down their military. They have to start hitting major components in the military. But, we can't really do all of that, because it would take us weeks, a month maybe. So what we would do is we would knock out a large amount of their radar, if they rebuilt any of it, and make them vulnerable for more airstrikes. And we would do this before the attack, and then we'd attack the nuclear facilities, unless their facilities are still undefended with radar. I don't think Israel is worried about their ships with 1,000 drones and another ship with a large amount of missiles and stuff like that. We have good submarines that could take them out. One of our latest submarines has a hull that's made out of non-magnetic material. What does that mean? That means all these sea mines work on magnetic signature. They wouldn't respond. They wouldn't know that the Israeli submarine was passing by. Okay. Also, we'd be very hard to track underwater with most conventional means. I don't think sonar would work on it. Other devices would, but so we could just take their ships out with our submarines with just a simple torpedo or two. There's no magic there. And our planes could take them out. So I don't think Israel's really that worried about that. If Iran took a boat carrying 1,000 missiles or 1,000 drones anywhere near Israel, we would just sink it. What do you think we would do? Wait for them to pour missiles down on us? We would just sink it. It would take, what, I don't know, maximum an hour, 2 hours. But we would know about it when it was quite far away, What's the blowback from hitting Iran? The Houthis are going to go crazy. Hezbollah would probably try to go crazy, but right now they got their hands full with Syria. Isn't that convenient? The Lord having brother fighting brother, so they're all tied up. But they may still be able to try to launch at us, and Hamas too. Hamas is not a big threat. Hezbollah is a threat, but not much of a threat anymore. The Houthis never were much of a threat. And we know prophetically in Jeremiah 49 that Iran is going to be busted up so bad. It's called Elam in the old days. It's so bad that the people all leave and scatter to every nation in the world. Every one, every single nation. And the sword follows them and finishes them. And the land of Yemen is where the Houthis are, and that is basically Edom, and it gets devastated like the daughter of Babylon does. Nobody lives there anymore. So they're on the way down too, because they'll rise up when things start affecting Iran. Okay? So Trump is really fixing our wagon, taking land that should be hours away, having us finish war. I mean, it's nuts, you know. And the people in Israel, I'm so sorry to say, think Netanyahu is a great guy, and they're going to put up with Netanyahu much longer because he seems to be able to get along well with Trump. It's sad, really. Cursed be the man that trusteth in man. And this is becoming a problem in America and other countries and with Israel. Israel has also lost their patience with Gaza over the emaciated hostages. Now, I got a more accurate count on the hostages. I wrote it down. Let me find it here. There's 76 hostages still alive. And I believe we get different figures. It's so hard to figure all this out. I believe there's a total of 76. 59 are living. The remainder are dead. That's what it looks like to me. Now, Trump would like to get the hostages out, but it may not be realistic because I think at phase 2, which comes around March 1st or 2nd, they're not going to do any more hostage releases until Israel completely leaves Gaza, lock, stock, and barrel, which the chances of that ever happening are slim and none. So Trump is telling Iran, sign a nuke deal with me or I'm going to bomb you. And then he's saying if they don't sign a nuke deal, Israel's going to bomb them. So he's using Israel as his puppet. Trump's bringing on Jeremiah 15:51. Trump put a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum raw materials imported into America from any and every country, 25%. He's getting ready to come up with a tariff against the EU, and it looks like the EU is going to put a tariff right back on him. Well, that's going to be interesting. The UN said that it's not lawful for Israel to give Gaza to anyone but the Palestinians because they consider it a Palestinian state. So Trump is basically buying it from a country that the UN is saying has no right to transfer to you for free or for money. So there's going to be a lot of backlash against Trump if he pushes this Gaza thing. So, you know, the problem with Trump is he's getting too many enemies, too fast on too many fronts. Wait till I get with Russia. I'm working my way there. There's still 17 more hostages scheduled to be released between now and the end of phase one around March 1st or March 2nd. They changed the beginning date of the ceasefire. That's why I'm saying March 1st or March 2nd. I'm not sure that what the date is. I'm not sure that a lot of people have any knowledge of when the date is. We attacked an airport, an active airport in Syria last night. I don't know what the target was. Weapons transfer from who? I don't know why we hit the airport. They're not telling us yet. It'll come out probably later today. So while Lebanon and Syria were fighting, we were attacking in Syria and Lebanon. This is crazy. Welcome to End of Days. All right, let me check the chat and then we'll get into Russia, which you'll find interesting, I think. I'll have to use maps. I'm taking down your Arabic post because a lot of people come in here and curse us in Arabic. And it's an English site. So Arabic doesn't belong. Okay, so Ukraine has an intelligence service, and they picked up intel on what Russia plans, and they're saying Russia plans on increasing their troop strength by 100,000. And they're not going to make big attacks on Ukraine. Whoa! What they're going to do is knock off NATO countries. Oh. So this is what they're saying Putin wants to do. I'll put some maps up. Kaliningrad is, let me get a map up so I can describe it better while I talk to you. Kaliningrad is a piece of Russia that's actually Russia proper, that's detached from Mother Russia. In a second, I'll get a good map up here. This might be a good map. Let's see. Yeah, it's not bad. Um, can we see where Kaliningrad is? Okay, Kaliningrad is kind of north connecting on the northeast. Okay, Poland has a northern border. On the eastern side of their northern border, where the land begins, you see Kaliningrad. So Kaliningrad is in between Poland and Lithuania. Now, Putin has Belarus, but there's a breach in the landmass between Belarus and Kaliningrad. So Putin has no direct link from Kaliningrad into Mother Russia. Okay? So the thought that Zelensky picked up with his intel is this: that Putin is going to hit the Baltic countries, which are Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And that would give him direct contact into Poland, and it would help with Belarus. So if he hooks Kaliningrad up, let's say he just takes Lithuania, that means he has a direct line to Kaliningrad. How would that work? Russia, Belarus, Kaliningrad. Belarus is a willing proxy of Putin. So when he gets Kaliningrad connected well to Russia, he can attack Poland with Belarus, using Belarus. Now, I believe what Putin wants to do also is take out Estonia and Latvia as well, because that would give Russia a lot of access to the ocean there, the Baltic Sea, which a lot of people are saying where the fighting is going to be. Now, he might also try to knock over Finland. I think the way he would do this is he would go in like Hitler and knock a country that can't possibly defend themselves against him off in a matter of days, and then go on and get the next one and the next one. There's a high probability, very high, I would say, that Putin wants to do this before Trump has a chance to build up NATO. So I would think Putin would try to take these countries out in 2 or 3 months, maybe quicker, even quicker, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. If he can hold these countries, he would probably go for Finland also, because if he didn't, he'd have missiles put in his, next door to him in Finland. So he has trouble, but if he pulls this off, he's so much better protected from NATO, and he would have to go after Poland eventually, because Poland is where the missiles and weapons given to Ukraine come in. So the other thing he could do is, I think for sure he'll hit Latvia, because he needs a better land connection. So Latvia goes. That's a joke to take Latvia over. 48, 96 hours, something like that. Latvia's gone. Then he has his little nest. He has the ability, well, he has to, I'm sorry, Lithuania. I apologize. I meant Lithuania. He probably will do Latvia and Lithuania. So now Kaliningrad goes to Belarus, and Russia doesn't have to connect Kaliningrad through Belarus. They could go through Latvia and Lithuania. And now he's got a pretty good edge on Poland. He could hit Poland from Kaliningrad at the north, from Lithuania at the northeastern part of Poland, and from Belarus. And that really hurts Poland. And if he gets Poland, now he has Ukraine surrounded on the east, the north, and well, he has Poland's on the western part of Ukraine. East Poland is on the western part of Ukraine. I should have clarified. So he could hit Ukraine in their west. He could hit him in the north, which he already can, and he could hit him in the east. And the south isn't his big problem. So he collapses Ukraine, and then he has to take Poland. And if he does this, then he'll go after Romania. And Russia will become so much bigger and stronger and have thousands of miles of land protecting them from NATO in the West. So I think Putin gave up on Ukraine, and he's just going to try to hit the countries surrounding Ukraine. That's what Zelensky is saying. It remains to be seen if this comes to pass. But I don't think Zelensky's the village idiot, and in the past we've seen his intelligence seems to be working. Okay? So what we need to do is watch this one. It makes sense. And Putin may go there. That's going to stop NATO from pushing him out of Ukraine, because NATO is going to be scattered trying to fight him. And, you know, for all we know, NATO may not fight him. But I think Putin sees the urgency of doing this before Trump beats them all up to increase their defense spending from 2% of their GDP to 5%. And then before that, when they finally agree to do the 5%, it's going to take at least a year, if not 2 years, for the extra money to take hold. You order weapons, they take a long time. They don't come the next day. You don't go to Amazon Prime and get next day delivery of, ballistic missiles, These guys generally get an order and then they make them and give them to you. They don't do it the other way around. Let me check the live stream. I've never been. I've been in a submarine once, but it wasn't moving. It was tied up to a pier, and it never went underway. I just went on it. It was like a tourist thing. All right, let's go to the Bible. And let me get my notes out. All right, let's go to Revelation 7 and look at the 144,000 there. We'll start there. Okay? Revelation 7. Revelation 7. Okay, let's find the passages. We'll start in 1, okay? And I saw, well, I was in 2. Let's start in 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. And like I told you yesterday, how can you take a basketball or a baseball or a volleyball or any ball and tell me where the 4 corners are? Well, you can't. How about the angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth? How do you do that if the earth is round? Is the Bible lying? Is the Bible wrong? The Bible says the earth is immovable. How can it be spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, or whatever they tell you it is, if it's immovable? The earth has foundations. How does that work? If it's a sphere spinning. So obviously they've been lying to us. You go to school, in the first grade or kindergarten, and the teacher sits at the front of the room, and what has she got on her desk or next to her desk? A globe. Satan starts with you right away. He starts poisoning you with lies. Okay, the earth is flat, and that's how you have 4 corners. You don't want to believe it? Don't. What am I going to do? Having the seal of the living God, so they have this seal. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth. Now this is your tribulation days, neither the sea nor the trees till we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead. Now, I'm going to show you where you see this again quickly is in Ezekiel chapter 9. If you ever want to understand the tribulation and Gog and Magog, you need to read Ezekiel 8 to 11. You need to read the whole book of Joel. You need to read Zechariah 14. If you want to just read Ezekiel 38, 39, you're going to have minimal knowledge about what's going on and probably be deceived. So we start in Ezekiel 9, which is in the temple, and the previous chapter shows us the image of jealousy in the northern gate, which is connecting the inner and outer courtyard. That's your abomination and desolation. The glory of God of Israel leaves the temple, which is an angel that God put his name in. That's found in Exodus 23, verse 20. And this angel is Michael. He cried also in my ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. These are the angels. Behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth towards the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. And, the northern gate is where the idol is set up, in between the northern gate, and it'd be in between the inner courtyard and the outer courtyard. Okay. Among them was clothed with linen, the writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar, which is in the inner courtyard, kind of southeast from where the steps to the temple are. And, you know, if you think there's no temple, again, there's not going to be one. Read the whole book of Joel, read Ezekiel 40 to 48, read Zechariah 14, read Ezekiel 8 to 11. That's why they don't tell you to read these places, because the temple's there. You're the believers are the temple of the Holy Spirit, not the temple where the offerings and the altar and the glory of God of Israel are. They confuse you. And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was to the threshold of the house, and he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, Jerusalem, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark. Now, a mark, that's an English word, okay? Right? Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, we had a guy named Mark in, you know, the gospel, but the Hebrew word is tav. And the way you put that into English, let's see what Strong's does, says it's a mark, implication is a signature. So you go back to the old Daniel Boone movies, you know, Wyatt Earp, you know, that kind of stuff, you know. And, you know, when a guy bought land, they, you know, he'd pay and he'd get a contract and they'd say, put your mark here, and he'd sign his name. Or in Hollywood, they say he made an X, but most of them signed their name. So that's their name. So when it says set a mark, it's likely God put his name on them. Upon the forehead of the men that sigh and cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So you'd have to read Ezekiel 8, which we read so many times here. They're praying to Tammuz, the sun god. They're drawing idolatrous images on the walls of the temple and all this stuff. And to the others he said in my hearing, go you after him through the city and smite, let not your eyes spare. Neither have ye pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And is that the same word in both places? It is. You got to watch these English translations. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men which were before the house. That's the house that the glory of God of Israel is going to live in, the house made without hands. Read Ezekiel 37 and you'll get more information. The last 3 verses, you'll get even more information about the temple. And it also says that we'll have a tabernacle too. It's Ezekiel 37, the last 3 verses. And he said unto them, defile the house and fill the courts with the slain, go you forth. And they went forth and slain. Okay. All right. So they got a mark. So where were we? Revelation 7, I believe. 7 verse 2. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels, to whom was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, now these, the mark here and the mark that we just read about may not be at the same exact time that we were reading about in Ezekiel 9. It could be the same time. Saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. It's probably the same time. And I heard the number of them that was sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. And then it says the tribe was 12,000, and then this tribe 12,000, and so forth, right? Okay. So now we go to Revelation 14. And it starts in 1, and I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on Mount Zion. Well, that's the mountain that the temple is going to be on. It has to be rebuilt also, so God's going to bring the mountain back, because some military armies took it down many, many centuries ago. And with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. So remember I told you the mark is the signature, the name. There it is. It would be Jehovah, Yud Hey Vav Hey. It's not Yahweh, that's a joke. Yahweh doesn't mean anything, Jehovah does. Yeshabu Shabaka Baba that they talk about with you doesn't mean anything. Yeshua means giver of salvation. Yesha is salvation. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters, and the voice of great thunders, and I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps, and they sung. Now I heard a voice from heaven, okay, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. Now, do the harpers have to be in heaven? No. Hollywood with the harp in heaven, but they don't have to be in heaven. The harp's an earthly instrument too. And they sang, as it were, a new song before the throne. Well, Yeshua's going to have a throne in New Jerusalem, along with the glory of God of Israel. They both sit there enthroned. Read Revelation 21 and 22. And before 4 beasts, that comes with the throne for the glory of God of Israel. And the elders, and no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from earth. Well, redeemed from earth is not raptured up to heaven and came back down. The church will tell you that, but that's not what it means. The year of redemption, okay? Isaiah 63, verse 3 or 4. They don't ever teach year of redemption, year of recompenses, day of vengeance in the churches. They don't. Isaiah 34, verse 8. Isaiah 61, the first few verses. And then you get Isaiah 63, around verse 3 and 4. They never teach that. These are they. Oh, I should teach it real quick. Let's try it. I'll go very fast on this, because I've taught it so many times. Isaiah 34, 8. as I live, saith Adonai Jehovah, surely because my flock became prey, and my flock became meat for every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the wait a minute. I was in Ezekiel. Sorry, Isaiah 34. Sorry, I went to the wrong place. Isaiah 34:8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. How about that? It's really in the Bible. And the year of recompenses, that's payback. Why is he doing the payback? For the controversy of Zion. Trump doesn't want Israel to have Gaza. The Bible says that's our land. He doesn't want it. The nations don't want it. You got it? Controversy over Zion. That's like fighting over Zion. Okay. Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me. It actually says Adonai Jehovah is upon me, because Jehovah hath anointed me to preach good tidings to the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. Well, that's the pleasant year of the Lord. Probably it could be a Jubilee year along with year of redemption. That's a possibility. But it's very definitely the period of the year of redemption, because it says, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn. Okay. Then it references, with the mourning, it references Zechariah 12. And, after they see the appearing of the Son of Man, they mourn. But I can't go do all the prophecies. We'll be here for a long time, and I'll burn out. And your brain will fry. Okay, so here we see the acceptable year with the day of vengeance. And it's hard to imagine the acceptable year is the year of recompenses, right? So it's the redemption year. And then we go to, and the day of vengeance is in both the year of recompenses and the year of redemption. So there's a 1 day overlap, apparently. Then we go to Isaiah 63. Verse 4. For the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. So the day of vengeance and the year of redemption is again tied together. Now, because the church doesn't teach you these three scriptures, you're going to get mad at me and run away and go back to people that don't teach you the full Bible, that don't teach you all the prophecies. Is that what you want for yourself? I got to go take a break for a minute. I'll be right back. My wife just told me they checked the meter reading on our meter, and they sent us a bill for a fortune, thousands of dollars, going back years, because they said they were underbilling us. I don't know what we're going to do. I'm floored. If any of you guys want to help us, this would be a great time. It'd be cheaper to move. I don't know, but they'll still come after you. What a country to live in. Pray this democracy goes away already, please. It's just torture living here. It's torture. Netanyahu is such a piece of garbage, you have no idea. He's throwing, with America, throwing Israel into all these wars. Before October 7th, Biden didn't want Netanyahu to visit him in America. Then all of a sudden, in early-ish September, he says Biden says Netanyahu can come here anytime, out of the blue. September 23rd, Netanyahu visits Biden. October 7th, we get invaded. Normally what happens is we got cameras day and night, sensors. We got trackers there like Apache Indians to track them if they come in, right? We got soldiers in lookout posts. All the guards were down. The soldiers in the lookout posts were screaming, "We're getting invaded, we're getting invaded." And the soldiers answering the phone were laughing at them. Do you understand? Other countries were telling Netanyahu they're getting ready to invade. America, other countries. He let it happen. Biden and him cooked this up to get the Middle East war going, probably to get Iran. Do you understand? It's so hard living here with this Netanyahu, 20-something years of this. He pushes as hard as he can for gun control, right? And that's like handing out speeding tickets at the drag strip. Or like going to the boxing matches and arresting them for fighting in the street when they're in the ring in Madison Square Garden. It's sick. The guy is unbelievably bad. It's part of the punishment of Israel, but I can't wait for it to be over. And what else does this idiot do? Oh, gosh. Oh, where do you go with this? I mean, this guy's a complete idiot. I was thinking of another thing this moron did. Well, now he's doing this thing with Trump. He's pushing the Gaza war further that he got us into. And the Lebanon war is going to go further. And the Houthis are going to start. It's just... So anyway, that's what the church isn't teaching you. They sent us an electric bill. I'll tell you, let me run. I don't even know what it is in dollars. Let me see. $6,000 electric bill. You ever get a $6,000 electric bill? They went back years and said, "Oh, we didn't read the meter, so you were getting a lower rate." Because the more you use of electricity, the higher your bill is. And we had the guest house back then that we were running it with people in it. I mean, how do you send somebody a $6,000 electric bill? There's only one electric company. You see what a sick place this is? I left Israel and I was gone for 25 years. I came back, I don't know, 10 years ago or something like that. I don't remember exactly, but something like that. And I didn't want to come back, and I had a lot of trouble because I was afraid to come back here because I knew what life was going to be like here. My wife was screaming, "Oh, the Lord told me years ago I'm going to be in Israel." She's so excited. I said, "Oh gosh, you don't know what you're getting into." And, this is what you get here. I had to be here because it says, "Where does the Lord accept you?" In Israel. Where's the gospel going to go forth from? Israel. I'm a Kohanim, so I had to come, and I knew I had to come. I came. But it's just been horrible living here. You think it's a nice thing to live here, I know. Redeemed Israel will be glorious, but this Israel stinks. Missiles and red alerts and rockets and drones and invasions. Constantly for us, 16, 17 months, hostages. I'm here because I got to be here and the Lord wants me here and I'm going to stay here. But let me tell you, it is sheer awful here. Okay? Maybe some of you will experience this at the very end when Jeremiah 30:11 happens and the DOB goes down. But I'm telling you, it's terrible. And so many Satan bots in Israel, people that serve the demons. Oh, I can't tell you how horrible it is. People get here, they walk around, they look at the Bible sites, hey, how great. 6 months later, you're oppressed. You get that stuff goes old and it doesn't drive you on, and then you start experiencing the reality of living here. Super expensive housing. I got back-breaking rent to pay. Back-breaking, right? Gas is $8-9 a gallon. Food is very expensive. We don't do nothing. We sit in the house. That's all you can afford to do. I can't work. I was thinking about doing it and the Lord shut that down. I just got to do this. And there's so few people that give offerings. We barely get by. Now I don't know what we're going to do. We're trying to see what we're going to do with this thing with the electric bill. It's just a horrible life here, You have no idea. It's Israel, but it's a fallen Israel. It's a fallen Israel. You have to understand that. It's fallen. It's not serving God at all. Not at all. It's run by unclean spirits in the businesses, the government, all of this stuff, and they oppress everybody else. There's no constitution here. It's just horrible. Satan gives this place more attention. What do you think the most important country in the world is to Satan? Israel. What do you think? Unbelievable living here. I can't. This just is, unbelievable. It just gets worse. It doesn't get any better. Do things get better here in Israel? Oh, I've never seen that. They're always getting worse. And they're so bad right now. People grow up in Israel. They go to school. They finish the military. They leave Israel because they can't afford to ever buy a house here, and they don't want to spend their life as a renter, which I'm always a renter. It's so bad. I can't tell you how bad it is here. You wouldn't believe it. Okay? You wouldn't believe it. Now, some of you might live. If you were living in Ukraine, I think it would be worse. Maybe if you were living in communist China now, you would have a bad time. If you were living in Gaza, it would be worse. If you were living, I don't know. Let me tell you, it's so bad. These other countries, they say, are bad. The cost of living is rather low. This place is sick, what it costs to live. Why? Because Netanyahu wants the Jews to leave. 20 years with this dog we've had. He has 3 active criminal cases for corruption in the court. A total of 16 years in jail. They've been in the court for 3, 4, 5 years. He keeps pushing them off, and the people keep voting for him, and he keeps trying to get the law changed, taking the power of the court away, so he could get they don't get him locked up and put in jail. So he hates the courts. He hates the people. The courts hate him, and he's doing anything he can to keep himself out of jail. That's what probably brought Gaza on. It's so bad here. I don't. It's really hard living here. Let me tell you, it's not just this. It's everything else you get here. That hits you. Imagine paying $9 a gallon for gas. Imagine you want to go buy a new car. You got 100% tax on the car. So a $30,000 car in America is $60,000 here. If you were going to buy a $100,000 SUV, it would be $200. That's extra tax because it's a luxury car. $250,000 here. 17% sales tax and import tax, and they put the 17% on services like an accountant or a lawyer. Do you imagine what it is yet? Did you get the idea? It's sick, okay? It's sick. I don't think I'd ever want to live here in this day under these conditions unless I had a purpose, and I do. The gospel goes out of Israel, and the Lord wanted me here. I got to go. But I wasn't going until he told me it was time to go, and I had to go. And even then, I was dragging my feet for a long time. And then I had a moving experience, let's say, and I realized I've got to get going, and then I got going. It was... and you're not going to be rich till redemption because it's the poor, the humble, and the meek. Forget being rich. That's not who's getting saved. You're not going to be rich here until redemption. Then you'll be rich. I can't tell you how bad it is here. The traffic, the way they drive, everything. It's just one thing after another. It never stops. I'm having one problem and another problem and another problem and another problem. It's a continuum of problems. It doesn't stop. And who is behind these problems? The Satan bot owned and operated companies, and the government makes trouble for you. The trouble is their bureaucracy, the red tape. That's what they do. It's so bad. Those of you that want to come here when Elijah starts working openly, you won't have these problems. You won't, but you will have them. You talk about getting worn down. Oh my gosh, do you get worn down? It seems hopeless sometimes. But the Lord gets you through it, but it's so lousy and annoying to always have to deal with another bureaucratic red tape crisis. That's where it comes from. It comes from the rich Satan bots that run the companies, and it comes from the government. That's it. I have analyzed it, and that's where it comes from 99% of the time. The 1% would be you get a lousy neighbor or something like that, but 99% of the time, or 98%, you're getting it from the government or the big corporations. This is terrible. But I know you guys got problems in other countries, but I don't think you go through the same garbage that we go through here. I think we have it multiple worse. And you know, the young people got to go in the military and fight the wars. The women, the men. Imagine that. How's that? You like that idea? And they pay you next to nothing when you go to fight the wars. Okay. So let's go back. Where was I? Revelation 14. Sorry for that tirade, but it's just, I just get out of one crisis and then I get another crisis. It just doesn't stop. You know, it just doesn't stop. It's just always going on, you know. So we were in Revelation 14, and then let's go to 3. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000. So we've got to try to figure out who they are. And it says, which were redeemed from the earth. Well, that's more like redemption, not, it's not a rapture up to heaven. It would say, who were taken from the earth to heaven. It's just not it. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being the firstfruits unto God and to the Lamb. Now, this is redemption, not risen from the dead. When you see Yeshua, you be changed. 1 John 3:2. You'll be like him. John 6:40. Those that believe, that see Yeshua, shall have everlasting life, which is not immortality, but you'll be like young again. Like before the flood, they lived 900 something years, but you'll have a double portion, much more. They don't teach that, I know, but it's in the Bible. When did they look upon Yeshua? Read Zechariah 12:10. The appearing of the sign of the Son of Man in the clouds, Matthew 24:30. Seated on the right hand of power, that's Father God Jehovah. Why? Psalm 110:1. Sit thou at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. Are Yeshua's enemies his footstool yet? Not even close. Okay? So that's why he comes down with Father God Jehovah seated at the right hand, and he appears like lightning from the east to the west. Okay. Redeemed from among men, the firstfruits unto God, to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile for that. Now, Yeshua doesn't stay here. He goes back up to heaven. This is just an appearing in the clouds. See, the church teaches the same. The appearing is not different from the return to earth. They confuse the people when it absolutely isn't. Read Revelation 1:7 also. Every eye shall see him. And in their mouth was found no guile. They are without fault before the throne of God. Well, now they're saying, oh, they're up in heaven. Well, if you understand New Jerusalem and the events in Ezekiel 8-11 happens at the end of Gog and Magog, the end of the tribulation, which is when Yeshua comes down, takes the false prophet, and the beast throws him in the lake of fire alive, or has them thrown in, and Satan goes to the pit. Then he comes down, and then New Jerusalem comes down, and it says he sits there on a throne along with the glory of God of Israel. So when you have incorrect prophecy, because the churches don't teach you all the prophecies, and you read without fault before the throne of God, you think, oh, we're up in heaven. You see, this is the problem you get when they don't teach you all the scriptures. This is where you get confused. And I saw another angel in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Fear God and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the one. Well, this actually, okay, so what we had here, I want to get my sequencing right here. So I think these people that we're talking about, beginning of Revelation 14, it happened at the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man, and they got the everlasting life. So that would be up until verse 5 of Revelation 14. Okay. Those are the first fruits. So these the verses 1 to 5 are not the end of the tribulation. Redeemed from among men, being first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. Okay, so the first fruits would be when he appears in the heavens in the clouds. And that's Matthew 24:30, Zechariah 12:10. All right. So that happens rather quickly to today. It could be a week, a month, 2 months, 3 months. I don't know. But I'm still not thinking this is in heaven. Let me check it again. Mount Zion, so that means we already have the temple. That's consistent with Malachi 3, which comes before Zechariah 12:10. So Mount Zion would be there. But they see the Lamb stood on Mount Zion, so we've got to figure this out. Let me work on the words here. So this is so hard to work out because here we see the Lamb, which I assume is Yeshua, stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads. This would have to be at the close of the tribulation, which the people that got the mark in Ezekiel 8-11 would be at the close of the tribulation. So I guess we have to take a difference between being redeemed and having the mark. That's the miss here I was on. He sung a new song before the throne and before the foot. Well, that could be the glory of God of Israel has a throne with the beast. No man could learn that song except that. See, Mount Zion is in Israel. There's not a Mount Zion in heaven that I'm aware of. Only the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth, they which were not defiled with women, they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, being first. See, it's so hard this to get, okay? I don't have much of it. Let's take a look at what this is saying, okay? They're virgins, and these are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. So the Lamb, Yeshua, has to be down on earth. Not defiled with women. So they are virgins. So it's talking, these are just men. So the first thing we should glean when we read about the 10 virgins, they could be men too in that parable, right? Okay. Because he's calling men virgins here. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These were redeemed from among men, first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. So why would they see, when we get redeemed and we live in Israel from all over the world, he tells us be fruitful and multiply. To multiply, we multiply. That means we would have marriage and we would have sex and reproduce. And then here he says virgins, which means chaste, not have sex. How does this work? Not defiled. Maybe he says the marriage bed is holy in the Old Testament, so maybe if you do it in marriage, you're okay. Does that seem to hold water? I'm not sure. These are they which follow, okay. Are they which were not defiled with women. You see, when it says not defiled with women, you could say, okay, they have sex with their wife. That doesn't defile them, right? That's true. For they are virgins. Now that creates an issue. Again, the problem is we're in the Greek, and that's really untrustworthy. We're in Strong's number Greek 3933. It could mean chaste. Maiden by implication, unmarried. Daughter, virgin. Strong's doesn't give us much to go on with that. Thayer tells us a virgin a marriageable woman or maiden, a woman who has never had sexual intercourse with a man, one's marriageable daughter, a man who has abstained from all uncleanness and whoredom, attendant idolatry, and so has kept himself. So I guess it would mean, the only explanation I could come up with is this virgin thing would have to mean they never worshipped unclean spirits and they never engaged in sex outside of appropriate marriage. I can't come up with anything else other than that. These are they which were not defiled. Having sex with a wife in proper matrimony and all that is not going to defile a person. Not defiled with women. Well, that would mean women, I guess, outside of the wife, for they are virgins. I imagine when he says that, he means they never worshipped unclean spirits or had immoral or off out of the law or against the law sex. These are they which follow. That would probably apply to what they did after they were redeemed. Maybe in their life years ago they did bad things, but they were forgiven with the redemption. The sins are washed away. Be white as snow. So their sins were washed away and they never did it again. That's the only explanation I can come up with. The Lamb, whithersoever he goeth, these were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no guile, for they are without fault before the throne of God. And the throne would be on earth here. And I saw another angel fly in the midst. Okay, so it could apply to the 10 virgins. Let's take a look at the 10 virgins, see if we can make any sense out of that. I think we're in Matthew 25. If I got it right, it's Matthew 25. Let's see. Oh, I went into 26 by error. Yeah, let me look at the chat first and then we'll. Yeah, there's no such thing as their responsibility with the electric company. They give Gaza electricity for free. They don't pay the bills. They bleed us here in Israel so they could give it for free to Gaza. No, I can't leave Israel. I have to stay here, I'm told. Yeah, someone got it. It could mean spiritually clean. Spiritually clean, not idolatry. No, when Yeshua says to them, get on my left hand, lake of fire, I never knew you. See, it also, those phrases come in, and the man went into his wife and he knew her. See, it's a spiritual kind of marriage or something, with Yeshua. And That's what that term generally is going to mean. Okay, let's go back to Matthew 25. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom, Yeshua. And 5 of them were wise, and 5 were foolish. In no way does, I mean, the strong implication here is that it's a female virgin. But maybe it's not when you look at what he does and how he uses the word in Revelation 14. Never defiled with women, you know. He could be talking about a lesbian, but I don't see that. I don't see that. And 5 were foolish. They that were foolish took. See, the fact that they're called virgins make me think that these are those that are redeemed at the appearing of the Son and Son of Man. And this thing, waiting for the bridegroom, is the close of the 70 years, the second 70 of Daniel, when Yeshua returns to earth and brings down New Jerusalem, the wedding feast. Okay, I never knew you. See, as you get that like man and wife marriage, right? And they that were foolish took their lamps and took no oil with them. But the wise took oil in their vessels with their lamps. Oil means the anointing, the Holy Spirit. While the bridegroom tarried, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight there was a cry made, Behold, the bridegroom cometh, go you out to meet him. Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps. David says in a psalm, let the word be a lamp unto my feet. It shows you the way to go. But the foolish said unto the wise, Give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. See, I think they were sinning and quenching the Holy Spirit, and they were doing things they shouldn't have done. But the wise answered, saying, Not so, lest there be not enough for us and you, but go you rather to them that sell, and buy for yourselves. And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came, and they that were ready, in other words, they didn't have sins they didn't deal with, went in with him to the marriage. I guess that would be in New Jerusalem, because New Jerusalem comes down decked out like a bride. And the door was shut. Afterward came also the other virgins, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us. But he answered and said, Verily I say unto you, I know you not. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. Now the word for cometh, let's see how Strong's puts this word. It could also mean appear. It can also, so I think he's referencing you're not going to know the day or hour that I appear, or it could be you're not going to know the day or hour that I come, where he comes down to earth. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. to say with the appearing, does it apply to both of those things or just one? I mean, when you don't know the day of hour, it's different. Yeah, the more modern translations do that. The King James does it also. The I believe the New Testament was originally written in Hebrew, and there's a guy named Salkinson, and he had another partner. And what they did is they took the Greek New Testament and they found the word that the Greek New Testament used in Greek in the Septuagint, which was written before Yeshua came. It was a Greek Old Testament. So they found what Hebrew word the Greek word in the New Testament replaced from the Hebrew, and they put the Hebrew back in, and they built the New Testament back in Hebrew. It's very difficult to understand, but they don't have an interlinear version of it. They don't have any with Strong's numbers, so you'd have to know Hebrew pretty good to be able to use it, even to look the words up in a Hebrew dictionary or something. So I have one. You can get it with e-sword.net. Look for the Hebrew New Testament with the name Salkinson, and you get it. They got crappy, doctored on purpose Hebrew New Testaments I wouldn't bother with, just Salkinson. And I don't have a great deal of more insight on this with the virgins, but I think we're stuck, and the only way to get unstuck is that virgins must mean going back to the 10 virgins where they were grieving the Holy Spirit and having sin and stuff like that. I can't see Yeshua, if people have a perfect biblical marriage, how he tells us we're going to multiply. He doesn't mean we should multiply outside of marriage. I can't imagine that making us unclean. So I say not defiled with women. I think that means they were only having proper relations with women according to marriage. And when it says virgins, they were not, getting involved with, sin and unclean spirits. And I'll give you another example of the use of this word. In Matthew 7, what verse? Maybe 17? Let's see. No, 21. Matthew 7:21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. So that's faith without works is dead. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Now that only happens in the churches. The rabbis and the synagogues don't prophesy in Yeshua's name. Neither do the Buddhists or the Hindus or the atheists or the communists or the Muslims. I'll be right back. finish Matthew 7 and show you how he uses the same words here, but he does it for different reasons. But I think that'll help us understand the virgins. So in 21, he says, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name? Well, that's only the churches, not Islam, not Hindu, not the Buddhists, not the atheists, it's not the rabbis. Nobody prophesies in the name there. They'd throw them out, beat them up. And in thy name have cast out devils. That's only the church. They don't do that in the synagogues or any the Hindus or Buddhists or Islam. And in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity. Lawlessness, that's what that word means. They don't follow the law. So, I never knew you. You see, that means they're not in Yeshua, or they fell away. They squenched or drove the Holy Spirit out. They rebelled against the Holy Spirit. The 10 virgins, half of them didn't keep what they had. That's what I think it means with the virgins. They were not worshiping other unclean spirits, and they stayed in the gospel. And it says iniquity, which means lawlessness. You know, what Yeshua said in Matthew 5 is perverted and twisted by many. It says, Matthew 5:17, don't think that I came to destroy the law and the prophets, but I came to fulfill. But they don't read the next verse. They trick you. The next verse, Matthew 5:18, says, for as long as there's a heaven and an earth, which there still is, not one jot or tittle shall be destroyed from the law. And then the next verse says, the one that breaks the least of these commandments, one least commandment, and teaches men so, shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But what about somebody that breaks 360? You think he'll be the least in the kingdom of heaven, or swimming in the lake of fire? What do you think? Then it says, but the one that, does the commandments shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And they teach you that the law is done away with. Then they move the Shabbat to Sunday. The day of the Lord, the Sabbath, is not transferable because it's commemorating the day that Jehovah rested after he made the creation. And that day can't be changed. It happened past tense. You can't move the Sabbath. It's impossible for it to be Sunday. And they say the reason we moved it is to make a statement that we're no longer under the law. Unbelievable. I use the book of Maccabees only to show that Jeremiah hid the tabernacle and that we'll get it back. I stay out of teaching the Apocrypha because I could do a good job with just what we have, so I just stay out of it. But I'm not sure if it's a legitimate book or not a legitimate book. I really not I looked into the Apocrypha, I looked into the Pseudepigrapha, and I think if I was going to guess, some of it's real and some of it's not. That would be my guess. Which is very difficult to say. You know, I believe Enoch is not a legit book. It contradicts itself. God doesn't do that. That would make him the author of confusion. He doesn't do that. So that's the best I get. So I finished one trauma yesterday with the payment processes, and now I have another trauma to deal with. Isn't that nice? That's life in this place. Oh my gosh, you don't know how bad I want this place to be redeemed and get rid of these people that are here. The 2/3 get cut off. Believe me, I know why they get cut off. Oh, they're horrible. And the government is worse. It's disgusting what they do here. It's just, they have courts here like you do in America, right? But there's no such thing as a jury trial in Israel. Some corrupt judge reigns over your case. How about that? You didn't know that, did you? Now you do. I'm here because I got to be here. The Lord wants me here. Believe me, that's why I'm here. I know people always want to be here. Oh, if you come in as a tourist, the unclean spirits don't get their teeth into you. Well, not literally, but they don't get at you because you're not a threat to them. You're here, you're bouncing around. Being a Jewish believer here, that's another story. Who does Satan go after? And believe me, Satan worries more about Israel than he does any other country in the world. Believe me, it's obvious why, right? Go to I think it's the last verse of Revelation 12, verse 17. And the dragon, which is Satan, was wroth with the woman, which is Israel, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God. I don't say the law is dead. I follow the things in the law. And have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach, which is the spirit of prophecy, it says in other scriptures, and that's what I teach. So believe me, this jackass wears me down. This piece of garbage, moron, psychotic angel, and his other idiots wear me down. And I just, hey, let's go on a heavy campaign on spiritual warfare in Israel. Do you think we could do that? Let's go after the corporations, the government. Let's just lay it on them like there's no tomorrow. Maybe we'll accelerate the end of this curse here. Satan works through people. And when you toss the people, it weakens him. Then he has to send another demon back in, and then you get that one, and you mess him up. But I am so disgusted with this government. And Netanyahu, we've had, 23 years of this garbage bucket. He's anti-Aliyah. He wants Jews to leave Israel. He keeps giving the land away. He keeps letting us get used as a proxy state. He's just terrible. He taxes the day. You know what the employment tax here is if you have a job? 50%, roughly. 50%. You got that? 50%. Then you got a 17% sales tax, also on imports. And then you're paying like $9 a gallon for gasoline. And when you rent the house here, you have to pay the property tax for the landlord. Imagine living like that. Imagine living like that. That's how we live. And then you got the wars, the terrorism, an idiot government that doesn't want you to be armed. And I could keep going, I could keep going. They make stupid decisions all the time. Dumbbell government, just dumbbells, And you know, it's like going into the belly of the beast. And the Satan bots flourish. They got a corrupt government. They don't worry about the judges who are cut out of the same Satan bot cloth as them. And they don't worry about the government that's operated by the same Satan bot people they are. And they don't worry about, Satan makes ways for them to get money. So they're enjoying things here. They like it. They got big houses, drive nice cars, relaxed, until the war. The war upset them. They don't like that. When's it gonna end? I can't. I know the end's coming. Because it was August 10th, 2023, when the Lord told me this is redemption, and He didn't say it's a year of redemption. He said redemption. But when you look the scriptures up, there's different words for what they put in English as year. The word used for the year of redemption, year of recompenses, is Shanat, which is not a literal 12-month, 360-day biblical year. It's in the year. It means like in the year. So until we hit the second year from August 10th, 2023, we could still be in there. And you don't know, every day is misery here to me. Every day. The greatest pleasure I get is when I do the live stream, because I'm just dwelling on the Lord. Now when I get off, you got all the trauma and problems and difficulties of living in Israel. I'm freezing in the house, because they build the houses like garbage, I spent like 15 months sitting outside watching Iron Dome takedowns, hearing explosions, missiles, alarms, sirens, red alerts on the phone, terrorist alerts. Do I hate living in Israel? Yeah, I think I do. But I'm here, and that's where I got to be, and I'm not sure where else I would go, and but that's my job now, and that's what I have to do. But to say I hate it, I don't think so. But it's so hard, and I keep asking the Lord, why are you waiting so long? I don't know. It's so hard on us, and I think He's trying to see who's going to break faith and run. That's what I think He's trying to do. Because once He appears, you're going to be a different person. So I think He's trying to shake people loose, and I think He's going to use Elijah to do it. And all I can hope for is He launches Elijah very shortly. You got to read Malachi 3 to know what I'm talking about, 3 and 4, with Zechariah 12. Then you'll understand. Malachi 3 and 4 with Zechariah 12, even into Zechariah 13. Zechariah 14 is Gog and Magog, the great day of the Lord. That's different. That's down the road. And Daniel 9:24 never says 70 weeks in any of the many Hebrew manuscripts going back to 900 AD, which is 400 or 500 years older than the oldest English Bible. What it says is Shavim, which is the word for 70. There's two 70s. The first 70 was the Babylonian captivity, which tells us the next 70 is 70 years. And it starts with the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man. That's when the moon will turn to blood and the sun will go dark. And it ends at the end of the second 70, when Gog and Magog and the tribulation are over. And there the moon and the sun go dark and the stars fall from heaven. And that's when Yeshua returns. And they don't teach you that. And I gave it to you in a flash, but if you go through my YouTube, I've done pretty deep studies on it. See, it's dangerous hanging around with Bible teachers that don't teach you all this stuff. Okay? It's impossible for it to be the word for weeks in any Hebrew manuscript. It's ridiculous. It's the word for 70. It's precisely the same word twice. I put it up on the screen. Here, I'll show it to you. I'll put it up on the screen. You don't read Hebrew, but you could see the characters. There's only, I think, 5 characters in the word, and you'll see they're the same in a row. I'll get it up. Take a second. You might find it interesting. I gotta get to the Hebrew. Okay, so in Hebrew we go right to left. So on the right-hand side of the screen it says Dan 9:24. And on the same line as Dan, you'll see 2 words. Each one has 5 characters, and they're the same exact words. You can pause it and look at it at your leisure. It's the same exact words. It can't be 70 weeks. It's 70, 70, 270, Shavim, Shavim. That's it. All right, so that's it for today. So I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife, Rivka. Pray for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our finances. We're obviously going into trouble there. And pray for our peace and calm and rest that we can overcome. And please pray that Elijah and Apostle John get launched with the green light real soon and do spiritual warfare against this government and the big corporations in Israel, and just, let's try to just give them problems, make them weary instead of us, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray I do better videos. Now, I encourage you guys to write me and let me know how I'm doing with these live streams, because it's the only way I know. If nobody writes me, how the heck do I know what's going on? And you could always ask me questions too. And, it's the best I could come up with. So I try, okay? And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out.